to understand the very difference between a philosopher and a witness, that is the pure observer without any prejudice, without any thought or any emotion or any kind of urge to explain what he or she is observing. We need to understand the mechanism of the philosophy. The witness is basically a philosopher who understood that it's impossible to describe any or to know any action that is going on throughout the universe. By the way, so let's go. I mean, any of us or whoever is watching the video right now, if he or she wants to become a philosopher, that is asking the basic questions about the existence, about who we are, about what's the surrounding, then you are most welcome here. This place is for you. But this is for only thinking, and after thinking, you need to arrive at a conclusion that thinking itself is false. But for that, we need to think first. If we don't think at all, we only believe someone else's argument, someone else's statements, then it's a dead end. I mean, we are dead already. So be alive, ask questions, become a philosopher at first. Then we can slowly proceed. Okay, so let's understand what's the mechanism of the philosophy. So whenever we see something, let's say this rose. So during presentation, I am fluently told that this is a rose. But when we first see anything, any object, we just try to understand anything we observe. We have a urge to explain it or to describe it. If we are not able to describe it, we are surprised, right? I mean, we always want to see or to hear anything that we can relate with. It can be relatable. Otherwise, we are very very scared of. We are always scared of new things. So whenever we see or we observe any object, what we perceive is different colors, different touch sensations, etc. And based on those difference in sense perceptions, we objectify a particular shape with a name. So here the shape and the name is a rose. So at this point, a, a philosopher will ask questions like why the color is appearing at all, or what's the reason for the touch sensation, what's the reason of objectifying at all. I mean, about everything he will ask questions. And that's the sign of the first step to the philosophy, to describe anything and to know the basic process of anything. I mean, how we are perceiving all these actions. And to explain, we need to introduce some concepts, because what we are observing is not any explanation. We are observing the observable objects, the observable actions that we are objectifying and giving names, right? So we need to introduce some concepts, some frame of references, some ideas. It can be uh, a derivative of an existing idea that we gathered from someone else. So we need something to explain. And the introduction of that something is basically called the superimposition in very brief. So a philosopher will definitely introduce a new concept or anything that can be used to explain some phenomena in the universe. And that will I mean, there are a lot of fields or subjects that is the product of philosophy. I mean, for each subject there is philosophy, like the philosophy of the arts, physics, chemistry, etc. So those are the subjects, or those are the way to describe different aspects of an object. So we all know that. And I mean, the the topic or the things that the physics will deal with is a little bit different than the chemistry, and that will also be a little bit different than the biology, although those are all interconnected, but those are discrete segments of the science. So there is some differences, but there is a unique thing about all of them. They all of them wants to explain the mechanism of the action that we perceive in the universe of different objects. And any physicist or any chemist or biologist, they need to prove their statement of expression or the explanation about any action. And for that, they need reasoning. And to reason, these are the steps that evolved over the period of time from fighting to mathematics. So this is how the philosophy actually goes. And any explanation will definitely need the reasoning, the logic, or if it is science, then it has to be grounded on mathematics. So those are all reasoning stuff. And by using them, one can prove his or her frame of reference or concept or whatever the thing they are introducing to explain certain fact. So it's very clear that all these explanations are basically introduced. So they have to be unreal, right? Their usage in the day-to-day life seems to be also true, but it's not true. I mean, it's very subtle to understand. We will go through all of them, but right now just see the fact that they are introduced, so they cannot be real. There is no way they can be real, right? Okay. So any explanation, or it will be explanation. So any explanation or thought needs superimposition. So as we just discussed right now, so these are the summary points, and I will just go through quickly, and which needs further reasoning to prove the statement or the arguments that one just uh, said in front of the audience or to the people. And the most important thing is we need reasoning to prove what is introduced or what is unreal, to be clear. Reasoning or any kind of arguing or any kind of debate is not necessary for what is real. That is what is in front of us right now. We don't need any reasoning for that. What is evident, what is truth, what is the existence itself. But we need proof, or we need arguments or all sorts of reasoning for what we are introducing as an explanation. My explanation can be something, your explanation can be something else, and based on that we have different opinions. Based on that we have fightings. Based on that we have all sorts of hell that is going on right now. So okay, that's another aspect. So the witness is basically the state of a philosopher who just realizes that it's impossible to describe or to know any phenomena in the universe. But to come to that conclusion, that philosopher has to go through all sorts of struggles that a philosopher can go through. He has to dig deeper and deeper and deeper until he finds, suddenly all of a sudden he will realize that it's impossible to explain anything or to know anything. And that will be the most happiest time for that lucky person, because that will remove all sorts of fear, anxiety, sorrow, suffering, you name it, because he will be united with the whole existence, and he will realize that he was never separated from the universe or from the reality. So we all need to know that. We all need to have that experience by ourselves. And the way we can have that experience or that knowledge or whatever you say, we have to know what is false ruthlessly. We have to go through the falsity of the concepts that we superimposed on the reality, or at least the higher level of reality, and then only we can know what's going on, what's our individual universes, right? We all have our individual universes. For example, an object can be very, very important for me because I rely on that object to do some important stuff, but that object can be meaningless for you or for anybody else. So we have our own individual universes. Yeah. So if we further go through this diagram, that why it is impossible to know anything at all, we can just quickly go through this. So there are basically two things in the universe that uh, we we came to this conclusion, that there are only energy and the object, and they are basically giving rise to all sorts of other phenomena like consciousness and whatever. So those are all ideas, by the way. We are superimposing each second everything that we try to know or we try to explain. Even I am discussing right now by using the superimposed phenomena, the words, the language, everything. But we have to rely on that. Otherwise, we won't be know what is false. So it's always good to use a false to know that it's false. Okay, so let's go. If the person tries to know, let's say, the energy, then he has to introduce an object, and the same for the vice versa. I mean, if he wants to know what is the object, he has to introduce the a form of energy. And in this process of knowing, there will be the interaction between the energy and the object, and that will produce a specific action which with respect to the energy and the object that we employed. And that action can be called as a behavior of either the energy or the object, or it can be the communication. uh, I mean, we can have different names, or we can say it a reaction. We can say anything we want, because all of them are basically nothing but the action. So the action is a result of two superimposed phenomena, which is the energy and the object. And what we can perceive is the action. So we cannot perceive the energy, and the object is impossible to perceive, but we are helpless but to detect this action. And this action can tell nothing about either the energy or the object. We are thinking that this can be this energy, it can be that energy. We summarize all sorts of mathematical uh, logic or proof to explain certain phenomena, but those are okay. I mean, we can use them for similar type of experiments or similar type of actions, but we cannot know what actually the energy is or what uh, the object is. We are objectifying it based on the different color, taste, touch, and smell, which are also the action, but we don't know what an object is. We don't know what any form of energy is. It's impossible to know. Okay, this is the situation. And this description of the introduced frame of reference or introduced concepts, they're helpful for dealing in lower level of reality, because otherwise we will be like stone or a log of wood without any action. So we need the false things or introduced or superimposed concepts, so that we can know about the superimposition, and that will open the door of infinite possibilities.